Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Ladies Listen Up, What Men Really Think. We are welcoming our co-host here because we just kidnapped you, Sherrod. You're official now.
I don't mind. Trust me.
How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I am doing wonderful, wonderful. So we have a very interesting topic for today, and our topic is stepfather. Yes or no? Wow, Sherrod, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about stepfathers, um, especially in our day and time, we have a lot of men and like I said earlier, moms step in and be stepmothers, but we're concentrating on the fathers. So yeah, a lot of men do step in and assume the position of the father when the biological is not around. A lot of
Mhm.
a lot of athletes, have stepfathers instead of in their lives, pushing them on. And it could be, I was a stepfather, I
Mhm.
don't have a relationship with the young lady now that I've divorced, but it's something that you have to really think about. It's
Okay.
something is that, all parties have to be really in lockstep together in order to make being a step parent, father, something that works for everybody.
Okay. So, because we put your role as a stepfather in there, you know, um, so give us a little bit more about how that dynamic functioned, and did you go into it just I guess you went into it as a willing participant, but how
Right.
did they ever get talked about how this would go? What
No,
your role would be?
actually, early on when she and I first started dating, it was like it was kind of normal. It was cool to just have the the um the child, you know, like just take to me as if, hey, yo, what's up? That was my little road dog for a minute. She, folks that didn't know me thought she was mine,
Mm,
you know,
mhm, mhm,
and those that did know me was like, man, she really, really clings to you. I mean,
mhm,
we had a really good relationship at one point.
mhm. So did you ever talk about the parameters, or it just flowed? I think a lot of times it just flows.
You know what? In this instance, it really did just flow. It didn't even seem like you had to talk about it
Mhm.
because, hey, I'm dating a mom, the child, comes along, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, what do you do? Say, I ain't gonna talk to the kid, I'm gonna talk to mom, and I ain't gonna talk to the kid. No, she just fit like a glove, just came in. And like I said, early on, it just you didn't have to talk about it. It just felt like it was natural at that time.
Mhm. Mhm. Because I'm actually from a blended family, if you will, and my situation or circumstance, I guess everything, just all the things that I talk about personally, have been a little different, than the norm, if you will.
Okay.
But with my situation being a stepdaughter, I never knew that I was a stepdaughter initially because my parents, um, it was I think maybe I was 2.5, 3 years old when the man that I thought was my biological father came into our life. And
Right.
because of some things or another, I kind of blocked some things out when I was younger, but that dynamic of being, I mean, I really like you said, it just kind of ebbed and flowed together, and I really thought that my stepfather was my father, so we never used the word stepfather
Right.
in our household, and just until I got older and some other circumstances caused my mother to finally tell us what happened, and how he was our stepfather and not our father.
Mhm.
But by this point, it was, to me, I didn't want to hear anything else because I was my dad's daughter. And then, it started to make a little bit more sense when my father's, older children started to come around. And I'm like, wait, you left the kids not understanding. So that's why I was asking about, was there a conversation or anything had? Because in
No.
our situation, it wasn't, but he never ever I would have never even knew that he wasn't my biological father had I not, been told earlier on.
Right. I mean, and you know what? Like I said, like you just said, it, the ebb and flow. It just worked. It
Mhm.
there was no words that need to be spoken, and it felt natural. It didn't feel like, hey, I'm babysitting her kid. No,
Mhm.
just like, hey, I'm chilling. I love children anyway. I love children. The best job I ever had was working at a Head Start program.
Mhm.
So I love children. So it's like, okay, this works. It wasn't until outside influences came in and messed up the whole dynamic. So,
Mhm.
we allowed that to happen. So so I'm not gonna blame it on the outside influences because we allowed it to happen.
Mhm. Mhm. And I
So
think I'm of the belief that children are a great judge of character.
yeah.
And so children, like I said, my dad, because I didn't know stepdad, but he was just an amazing, incredible man that provided for us. There was no, when his children, older children, start coming around, the only difference was made because they couldn't stand us because they felt like we took their dad away.
Right.
And so that's where the issue came in. But as far as I mean, he was daddy. And so, I know we were talking a little bit ago about, um, some men just say no to the stepfather
Yeah.
thing.
And you know what? And I'm gonna tell you, it's not that I think I can go out on a limb and say it's not just I'm saying no because I don't want anything to do with your child. A lot of times, I had a partner of mine. He stepped in, assumed the position, and like many men, he was dealing with a woman that says, "You can't discipline my child. You can
Mhm.
provide for him, but you can't discipline my child." you know and that's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow, especially if you're a man of structure and discipline. You will, okay, wait a minute, you want me to come in, you want me to buy him the gym shoes, you want me to make sure he's clean and he's the house, everything is taken care of, but when he makes a mistake or he needs to be corrected, I can't say anything. That doesn't, it's like, how does that work?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
unfortunately, the relationship didn't work, and the young man is now in prison.
Mm. And see, I think that's another key element too. To you and I had this conversation about having I call it interrogation. I will stick to it, but
Yeah.
having that conversation early on in a relationship, and then when there's children involved, the children really need to be taken into consideration because that's a part of the whole family dynamic. I think you know and oftentimes it's I know we're talking about the inner circle of the family, but oftentimes the biological parent cause a lot of
Hmm.
challenge and a lot of difficulty because for whatever dysfunctional reason they may not have let go. you know on the other hand too, I was also and we're talking about stepfathers, but I was also a stepmom. And
Right.
when I was first married, but then he was a stepfather to my children. And the thing of it is, one of the I guess red flags that I missed was my children weren't happy.
Yeah.
And
That's a
again,
big
I
one.
didn't understand that about a judge of character. I'm thinking, okay, he's a provider, and we've gotten into some other conversations about why that marriage didn't work. But I stepped into the role being a stepmom, taking care of all. He has 6 children, and I stepped into the role of getting a caravan and taking everybody to the movies and all of that. Where he stayed in the room and was kind of like a hermit in there, and I'm doing everything. But as far as the stepmom part, his ex never wanted me to be around her children.
Yeah,
And
that's
so, one of the daughters, I'll never forget this, sitting around the table, and I love to cook. So I had to prepare this big meal and everything. And one of the daughters, she said, um, "You're not a witch like my mama said you were. You're really nice." I didn't know how to respond. I didn't know how to respond. So when you're talking about stepfathers, or
Yeah.
step parents, that's a huge undertaking. And it was interesting when you said some men just say, no, I'm not going to do it. And I think
It's,
go ahead. You go
no, no,
ahead.
I was just getting ready to say. I mean, it's a difficult role to play for either side. But like I said, when you are a man and you are very structured and disciplined, and you come into a situation where the children are not structured and disciplined, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna clean this up, I'm gonna, get everybody on a straight and narrow. But then when you go to make those corrections, and mom says, no, yo, you can't say that to my child, you can't do that to my child. Well, before y'all even got to that point, before you even laid down with this dude, kicked it with him, you have to know whether or not, if he's even good enough to be around your children in the first place. Because see, you have to know that if this man or this woman is disciplining your child, it's done out of love. It's not done out of spite or because I'm jealous of them. Because there's some wild videos out there with stepmoms and step parents going in on the children, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, I couldn't imagine that. So you you gotta do an interrogation.
Yes, it's
you
going
know
to
you
work.
you you have to see, oh, hey, how do you feel about the kids? And this is what I tell my son, whether you have a child or you get with somebody with children, have those, you need a core, I'm gonna say a core
Mm-hmm.
5 to 10 questions that are definite deal breakers. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if anyone does not match, at least have 5 that are a definite deal breaker, and 5 you might be able to compromise on and say, okay, let me see, how important is that really? Can I tolerate if this doesn't happen the way I want it to? So you have to know who you're dealing with in order to have somebody step into a role, and you have to know who you're dealing with in order for you to step into that role and be the best step parent. We're going to take the word step off, to be the best parent possible,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what you become. You're not a step parent once you assume the role. You are a parent now. Those are your children because you're taking care of them. You didn't
That's
you just didn't create them, but you're taking care of them, and you're nurturing them, and you're training them to be better humans.
hmm That's so good. I really like that point where you said take that step off of it, because that's absolutely true. And
Yeah.
and you can't go into that type of a role half-hearted.
No.
And then I've
No.
heard some people say that they want to accept him or her, but they don't want to accept the children. Well, the children are part of the package. Just like I said, I assumed the role when I took on the responsibility of 6 other children. That
Mhm.
you're taking on that responsibility wholeheartedly because the children know. You
Yeah.
know, my daughter told me as she grew up, she said when she said when she was walking down the aisle, she was one of the flower girls. She was like, "No, mommy, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it." I was like, oh my Lord, I didn't know. That's why, again, in hindsight, you learn that having those conversations,
Yeah.
having that, understanding and sitting back and observing how do your children mix with, like they say, look at how a man treats his family, how he treats his children, how a woman treats that. You have to look at all of those things. And I don't think we've ever really been taught that.
No, you know what? Because I think coming up when we were younger, you
Hmm
just assume that was that person's parent. That's not the step parent. I grew up with both my parents in the house, so
hmm
I never. My mom and dad didn't divorce, or they didn't break up until I graduated high
mm
school.
Okay.
So I had a dad up from all the way up. And growing up, I didn't ever. You know what? Growing up, I never thought about being a step parent. That's not
Mm-hmm.
something that was normal to me.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up saying I'm gonna be a dad. I had never said I was gonna be a stepdad. And I can't even tell you when that word ever came into my thinking.
Mm. Mm.
But I've dated. Early on, younger, I dated women with children,
Mhm.
but I never really, you know, I might have went around, and I treat all kids the same, because I clown. Hey, you want to act a fool? I know how to act a fool, and I like to have fun with children.
Right.
But never did it cross my mind say, what, I think I want to be a stepdad.
Mhm.
You know, And like I said, a lot of men out here are saying no, because they, one of the complaints is you'll do all this work to get a child to go and be who they become, successful,
Hmm.
and man, you don't get no credit for
Wow.
it. It's like,
Yeah.
man, that's like, hey, I'm like to thank my mom. It's like, but you had a stepdad since she was a little kid,
Hmm. Hmm.
so
Then the children, like, again, to that point, you know, you don't know if you don't. And then this is the thing too. Certain, and I would say in our race or in our culture, we don't seek, or it's a taboo to seek mental counseling and or help or therapy, and I'm an advocate of going to get assistance or getting help,
right,
because I mean, like I said before, if you break a fingernail, if you break an arm, a leg, or what have you, you go seek help for it. But if something happens to you traumatic, or even, divorce is is traumatic for children,
yeah,
and we don't think about it. We're thinking that children are resistant, and I mean resilient, and we just keep going. We just keep going, but we don't know where that child got stuck, because
right,
people get stuck in certain circumstances, and then now you're forcing them into another situation without, and then these children become adults, and these adults make decisions, so we don't think about
based
that.
on what they went through, yeah,
We don't think about what they went through. We don't think about how, how divorce affects children, or just different life circumstances. We don't really pay attention to that, and then when we do, we don't often go get assistance or help, or even and therapy is psychotherapy is nothing more than talking it out and seeing things from a different perspective, and having someone that has the education and the knowledge and the experience to be able to just help you to even think through some issues yourself. Because a lot of times people hold things in. They give you some tools and techniques to handle and cope with things.
right.
And that's why I'm such a proponent, or such pro go get help from the right therapist to help you, so that you can live a good healthy life and make good healthy sound decisions. Because what is it, for every cause and effect, for every decision that you make, there's a consequence for it, a reward or benefit or consequence for it. So I think that's something that we often miss. We don't think about, as we move forward and as we make decisions in our life.
And for me, it's like the timing. How soon should you let him or her meet your children? You know,
Mm,
and I think it's really important that you kind of get it. For me, I say let's get it out the way sooner than later, so you won't get all wrapped up, and then it's this turmoil you have. Like, man, my children don't like him. He don't like my children. She don't like my children. Woo, woo, but I really and digging this person. Oh man, hey, come through, see what goes on.
mm-hmm.
Because I, hey, I've had some good situations, and I've been around some bad kids before, man. Like, whoo,
Some babies.
whoo, man, yo, that was gonna wind up in jail. It's like, you know,
But you know what though? That goes back to, and I keep saying it goes back to the interrogation part of it. And you being in a healthy place yourself, so you can kind of listen and determine, and kind of sit back and see, how that, before you even introduce or bring that person. Because some people, they have the opposite philosophy, whereas no, you spend time with them, get to know them before you introduce them to your children.
right.
So it's like having a good healthy um barometer yourself first, because you're
Hey,
the first line.
I agree with getting to know someone, but
Uh-huh.
as adults, I think it shouldn't take us that long to get to know one another. I mean, I I think I can judge, and I'm not gonna put a time frame on it, because
Okay.
what's long to me may not be long to you. Like they say, men wait forever to get married. Women want to get married now. Hey,
Right.
men say, hey, that ain't long. You know what I'm saying?
Forever ain't long, Sherrod. Forever.
It's like, hey, love is forever. What I'm saying? We got to put a label on it right now. So, but, but
Mm-hmm. Tell
time is
us,
a relative.
tell
It's a
us more. Ladies are listening. What did you? I mean, lean in. What did you say?
Time is a relevant thing. It's not an absolute thing. It's relevant. It's like, and it depends on who. Hey, 1 month is long for some. 1 month is too soon. So, my thing is when you're in that situation where you're trying to figure out if this man or woman is even worthy enough to come around your children, hey, I think you need to make a choice, and then, hey, live with it, and let him or her come around, because you have to be in a position. You don't want that, the children and the mate arguing and fussing, and you always breaking up fights. You don't want to be the referee. You want to make this thing as smooth as possible, especially if the other parent is still involved.
Yes.
I think there's an easier transition if the other parent is absent, like absent. You know what I'm saying? You can kind of transition in. But if that other parent is really involved, now that is like, okay, I'm gonna have to deal with this dude coming through now. I might have to lay my hands on this brother, send him blessing.
See, but there we go. That is about that. So now help people understand. You said you're not gonna say a time frame. Somebody told me all seasons. Know him in all seasons first. Well, all seasons, that's a whole year, Cherrard.
That is. I mean, and for me, a year is not a year's depending on what it is. A year in jail is long to me, but a year waiting to get married is.
And what about that? What about, okay, now we're about to be a family, so we're about to get married and children meet daddy.
But I think that's a different dynamic too. So like when you come in and y'all finally solidify this relationship and everything is going cool, it's like now it's pretty much like, okay, good. I mean, y'all decide where y'all going from there. It's still steps to take. I mean, even though everything is cool, just say you're one of the people that just come over, y'all visit each other every day. That's different from actually living in the house every day. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of children have gotten used to, this is my crib, this is my mama's house. And then, so, whether you uproot them and move in with him, now you got to say, yo, this is my crib. You got to go from that my crib mentality to our crib now. And all parties have to understand that this is ours now.
That's where that communication comes into play. Right. Because it and then this is, I think I'm hearing this too. And then you know how sometimes the light bulb comes on at certain times, you hear it and all of a sudden you get it. It's like, again, I think, I don't know if it's just my thing now, it's communicating everything. Like, I've had somebody to tell me that's where I got the interrogation thing from. Because it's like, after you've been through experiences with people and, it's a question, like, what's wrong with asking this question? Maybe, I've had some people to say they like everything set up a certain way. They like to keep their appliances plugged in. Some people like they have a fit if you don't unplug your appliances. Are we saving on the electric bill? Or, certain little isms or whatever that people have. I think it's just important to talk about all that stuff. I don't think it's over interrogating when you're asking those questions, because you never know the temperament of that person, and you have to know all of those things. People can only hide who they are. Somebody told me recently that, it's the representative that shows up. Okay, so how long before the representative is gone and the real person show up,
And that's exactly true. That's why I've spoke on the 5 C's of a relationship, and they're not in any particular order. But for me, communication does come first. But it's communication, cooperation, commitment, consistency, and compromise. And you have to have the ability to do all 5 of those effectively in order for that relationship to hold on and become anything successful. Communication. You see people when they say communicate, they're not understanding that true communication is that's when you get mad. When y'all mad at one another. How do you speak to one another when both y'all temperature is up here? It's like, okay, boom, this is up here. I'm ready to explode. how do you go to that point from being your temperature is boiling to being calm enough to rectify a matter and use conflict resolution to make the situation better? You know,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, cooperation. Cooperation is something that a lot of us don't understand because we look at things as individuals and independence and things of that nature. But when you cooperate, you're working as a team. And as a team, we got to move like the cohesive unit we need to be in order to be successful. Now,
Mhm.
consistency. We got to keep doing this thing over and over and over again. Yo, it's like I used to tell my son, hey, he was playing quarterback in high school. It's like, yo, don't go after the touchdown. You got to get the yards first. Remain
Hmm.
consistent. Move down the field consistently. Keep the ball moving. You'll eventually get there. So everything moves incrementally in steps. So, but you
Mhm.
got to be consistent with your effort, though.
Mhm.
Now, you got commitment.
Mhm.
You got to be committed to cooperating, communicating, and being consistent.
Mhm.
You get that. That's a commitment. That is needed and is absent from a lot of unsuccessful relationships.
That's
You know,
good. Yeah.
if you're not committed to making this thing work and following those three,
Mhm.
then one of the biggest things a lot of us don't want to do because we want it all, compromise.
Mm.
We don't want to compromise. And not understanding that when somebody gets with us, they're compromising. We're not
Mm.
we're not bringing that 100% package that they might be looking for. They may not say it, but no one brings that total package to the relationship. So we got to
Mhm.
compromise. We got to understand, like, okay, he don't like to go to the movies. Like I'm not a person that like to go out. So when that's one of my things up front. I'm like, hey, I ain't no partier. I did all of that, younger. I'm
Mhm.
done, partying. I mean,
Mhm.
I'll step out every so often. But if
Mhm.
you're a social butterfly,
Mhm.
one of your things you're gonna have to realize is that, hey, a lot of these functions I'm going by myself
Mhm.
because I don't I don't mingle like that.
Right.
I've I've done this, right?
Mhm.
But compromise is a very big thing. So whenever you're gonna try to if you're gonna make a relationship work, those 5 C's have to be present.
Well, as everybody see when I'll tell all the ladies, make sure you write it down. Grab your pen and piece of paper and take notes. It solidifies it in your brain because those are nuggets that Cherrard just gave us. Communication, cooperation, consistency, commitment, and compromise, and being committed. That was one of the things as we've been doing our real love series. One of the things that have been the intertwining thread was the commitment. And a lot of folks say, well, it's hard, but we stay and we do the work. We stay and we work it out together. We take care of one another's heart. And I think you hit it right on the head when you said people don't understand how to compromise.
Yeah.
It's like this self-centeredness. It's all about me and me and me. But if you take yourself out of the equation and think about your partner's heart, and your partner is thinking about your heart, then your partner knows your children are very important to you. So it's not a you without the children, you know. And then just understanding and I think part of the success is just taking everybody into, we're all human beings with feelings and emotions, taking everybody into consideration. I think
And
it's so go ahead.
and then and to a certain degree, you do have to listen to the children, see where they're coming from, and you should be able to gauge your children, and you should know your children well enough to know if their dislike for this individual is BS or genuine. Because some
Absolutely.
children, hey, they want their parents to be together, and they don't want you talking to nobody else but
Yep.
mom or dad. So
Absolutely.
now you have to be able to gauge that and then get your children to understand, look, hey, he's not or she's not replacing your mom or dad.
Absolutely.
They're helping me.
Mm-hmm.
They help you all.
That's
You know,
good.
and even in some instances, that parent does replace the other parent. But it shouldn't be done in such a way where it's obvious. You know,
Right.
just let it come in smooth. You know, it you can't say, hey, come in the front room. Here's your new dad.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
Like,
huge mistake.
and then all y'all looking at each other like, what? Yo, we didn't say nothing about this. I was coming over for dinner. You know,
Like, what
it's like,
happened?
but now,
What really happened?
yeah,
Right.
and then
Right.
a lot of men without children really look at this as like, whoa, hold on, wait a minute, because you got to understand this too. Just say you go into this relationship, everything is smooth, woo, woo,
Mhm.
woo. Things break down, y'all
Mhm.
break up.
Mhm.
Man, I've actually got this relationship with this child. I love this child, but I ain't got
Mhm.
no rights.
Mm. Yeah, that's huge too.
Now I've witnessed that firsthand with someone, I know.
Mhm.
Fall in love with the kid,
Mhm.
relationship was over with, you don't get no relationship with the kid no more.
Yeah.
Or the child, the kid, however you want to say which one is politically correct. You
Right.
know,
Right.
but
Right.
that's a big thing there is going into a relationship knowing that if I don't sign any papers, I don't have any rights. Or if I do go in and become the full-time stepdad or the full-time parent now and it's all over with, I got to pay for a child that's not mine and may not even want to ever see me again because they know, hey, that ain't my pops, over there.
Mhm.
So you're stuck
Mhm.
paying for a child that's not your child.
Right. Right.
So some of these things may seem trivial to people like, oh, well, y'all, because in this day and time, anything a man spits out his mouth is like, oh, yeah, that's nothing, that's little, it's not important. But to us, it is, you know. Hey, I love children. I would never do anything to harm a child, intentionally, probably other than give them a whooping, but intentionally, you know. But the funny thing is it's like you want to be the best person you could be in front of that child.
Mhm.
Thank you. Let me be that. Don't interfere. Let me
Mhm.
be who I am. Let this child, grow to love me for who I am. But a lot of
Right.
a lot a lot of women just can't get out the way for a minute. Like just move. Let me and this young man, these young children, let us do our thing. Because we need a relationship together outside of y'all. You know?
That's important. That's important. And it's also important to teach the children to respect. That's why, I can't get with that, you can take care of them, but you can provide for them, but you can't provide discipline to them,
Right.
and I think coming together as to what you feel as a parent is proper discipline. Because some people, they're not of the spank. Some people are of the spank. Some people are whatever it is. But I mean, coming together first, the two of you as adults coming together, the two, and then taking that and reinforcing one another. Because even when the husband and the wife is in the, or the father and the mother is in the relation in the together in the relationship, the children will play you two against one
Oh,
another. So
yes.
you must be on, first of all, on the same page, and and just work it out. Even if it's a separation or division, the co-parenting is a must, because it's no longer about you. When you decide to have children, it's no longer about you. It's about raising these children into respectable, thriving adults. So that's again, everything goes back to communication. Goes back to
Now,
but effective and honest communication.
and then we have to be able to speak candidly with one another when you speak of honesty, because we're in this day and time where we talk about peace and we talk about these different types of energies, and I think a lot of people got it wrong because they think in order for something to be positive and peaceful, it doesn't hurt. Well, sometimes honesty does hurt, depending on how a person take it. Sometimes, being positive may sound negative, but if the individual sits back, because, if I tell you something doesn't look right on you, you know, that I'm not being negative. You got to know who I am and how I'm giving you the message. It's how I'm delivering that message to you. So
Oh,
if I
that's
say,
good.
hey, baby, hey, don't wear that. That's not looking real good on you, whatnot, I'm not trying to put you down. Now that's a positive message being seen as negative, because yo, that might have hurt your feelings. You might have thought that really looked like the bomb on you. And you asked me a question. Hey babe, how does it look? I don't like it. You know.
That's something that you should cherish. And ladies, please listen to this. This is something that you should cherish. Somebody that cares enough about you to tell you the truth. You know, I
Trust
mean,
me.
just that's like, and it's not. This is the thing about it too, Cherrard, and that's why we're breaking into the series of of brokenness, because that's the point. If you can't accept what is it, constructive criticism, and first of all, let's go back to all the way to the beginning. Surrounding yourself around good, healthy people that you can get that from. There's wisdom. Scripture tells us there's wisdom in the multitude of counsel. There's wisdom, but the multitude of the counsel have to be good, sound counsel around you. Like I've learned not to carry my feelings on my sleeves, because people that are around you, iron sharpening iron, that helps you to be better. And the people that are giving you, because I've had women around me that that have gave me criticism or what have you, but it wasn't constructive criticism, and I knew from where it was coming from. I knew the heart of that person. So it's important to have people around you that can, and your partner, your mate, the one that you're raising children with, that you're making life decisions with. And sometimes this is something that I was told recently. Sometimes we choose instant gratification over the long term. What's going to happen long term? Even in choosing a mate, choosing a partner, we think about the fun of it right now, or the again, the instant gratification, sexual gratification, whatever the gratification is up front, but we don't think about long term, what you have to deal with in the long term.
Yeah.
And so again, coming back to choosing a mate or choosing somebody, you're right, it doesn't take you forever to be able to say, okay, I want this person around my children. If you meet somebody and all of a sudden they proclaim to whatever, and then all of a sudden you see that they're not actually doing it. They're not actually walking the walk. They're saying one thing, but they're doing something else. I'm a vegetarian, for example, and they're eating up every piece of meat that you see. Well, you see that person actions is not aligning with who they say they are. And that's something that we can't just turn a blind eye to. We've turned a blind eye to things for too long. And then when you get down the line, you say, man, I really kind of saw that red flag and ignored it. I really saw this and I ignored it. Or, how did that person, he or she, but how did they treat the people around them in their circle, their mother? How do they talk to their mother? How do they, react or respond to things? All of those are clues as to the integrity and the character of that person.
And another thing about about red flags or whatever, when it comes to children, it's hard to fake liking children or not. If you don't like children and she has, hell, if she got one, just say one. Because a child, if they feel like you cool, that child is going to interact with you. That child is going to make you interact with them, and and it's funny. Like I said, I've been in situations where I deal with the children, and children are so blunt. Like,
yeah.
You want to play? I mean, bro, I just came over to watch TV. They'll crawl up on it. They'll get close to you. They'll do stuff.
Yeah. Pure
when they get on the couch, they'll get up under you. If they like you, they're gonna be next to you. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't like children, it will bother you. And for me, when I deal with someone's children, I'll let them know, hey, yo, I want you to feel just as comfortable with me around your children as your child is feeling, comfortable around.
Right.
Because this dude climbing all over my head. I'm like, all right. Okay. Oh, foot to the face. Okay. It's like,
right.
But I've never had problem with the children. Because I have 9, so I can't have any problems with children. I mean,
right.
Well, I could. I mean,
well,
but
well, I heard one relationship, I always say guru with the air quotes, one relationship guru that said that they don't that men do not want to um raise another man's child.
Okay, let me tell you something. See, this is how we can debunk any statement right off the rip without even researching it.
Okay.
If someone gives you a blanket statement that says men don't, women don't, that means you're generalizing the whole population of men and women. So that therefore you're telling a lie. It's false. It's
That's
fallacy.
good.
You know what I'm saying? Now, if it says some men, and this is what I get into back and forth with women on my Facebook page. I'm like, look, first word, it was a capital S on that joint. It says some. It didn't say all women. It says some women. There's a certain demographic of people that you focus in on and say, yo, I wish they could get their joint together. Mm-hmm. So I say some or a few. I never say all. I never say, oh, if somebody come with a percentage, 90% of women do such and such. Did you study all the women and then break down this? Or did you just take some BS sample out of your head and come up with that number?
Teach them, Cherrard. Teach them.
I never, when someone gives me take that that brush and try to paint this picture with that broad brush and all men do X, Y, and Z. Like, I don't do that. So that's not true right there.
Yeah.
So, and that's all I'm saying. So when these relationship gurus come through and say, well, men say, women say, no, it's just some may say, and some may feel that way, some may think that way. It's always some. If you say some, that puts that doesn't put a number on it, then when you say some, that makes it a true statement.
That's good. That's real good. Hold on, wait. Let me write that down too. I gotta put that in my notes. I got a book. I'm gonna start doing the book of Cherrard quotes. Ladies, y'all hear me? But that's really good though. Yeah, that's really good right there.
Yeah, I had to learn that. Someone corrected me on it, and they were just really upfront. Like, look, when they say some, it's true. When they say all, most, or a percentage, if they didn't do a study, a very comprehensive study of that whole population to come up with that number, then it's false.
Then point blank, period, ladies, it is false.
That's it's just.
And that brings me to the point of understanding and learning what is real and what is not real. Just learning and learning those, like you said, those questions that you need to ask, and understanding that if somebody gets at you about a question that you're asking or what have you, then that's a major red flag if you can't ask questions.
Oh, and you know what? And if up front, I'm somebody that doesn't like 1,000 questions, but when it comes to that relationship, y'all just starting, I'll answer a bunch of questions off rip because you need to ask questions. I'm just one of those individuals that don't want to get questioned every move I make now. Okay, me. Yeah. You know my movements, this and that and the other. Hey, if I said, hey, that's an apple over there, I'm about to go get it. Well, why?
Yeah, because you need to build the trust. From the beginning, you ask those questions and you get to know each other and you build trust based on going back to your list. And your list says consistency. If this person is consistently doing what they say that they who they portray themselves to be, then you can then relax. You don't need to continuously badger somebody, because now you're actually, what you're doing is you're making them pay for somebody else that was untrustworthy in your life. So there's a balance to that. And so, when people say, or when they say that relationships is work, it is work. But you not only do the work on yourself so that you bring a healthy person to the party, and you have these healthy expectations. And, ladies, that we're not driving somebody bananas with some of the things that we come up with based on all the past bad experiences, or we said we're going to talk about, good versus bad, men or what have you, that we're not bringing that into the relationship, or understanding what the healthy boundaries are, what this person really getting to know. You said something, I think it was it was in one of the earlier episodes about getting to know the real person, like getting to know them before you start, you know, before you base your judgments on anything else, getting to know the heart of that person, getting to know how that person thinks, getting to know if that's even a good match or if that person is compatible with you and your stuff. Because everybody brings stuff to the table. It's just like, what brand
What
of
is
stuff can I deal with?
good or bad stuff? You know what I'm
Good or
saying?
bad stuff. We
Like,
all got stuff.
I got stuff. I'm a provider. What do you provide? BS or some quality stuff, you know? So,
Exactly.
but
Exactly.
I was looking up this, I looked up 5, you know, it's an article about blended families and 5 ways to be a great stepdad.
Okay.
And one says, keep encouraging the children's relationship with their biological father.
Mm,
And I've often asked men that dated, you know, and you know what? I really don't get a response from it. And I think I'm gonna do it again today. I just want to know, do you encourage your woman who has a child with another man, do you encourage her to say, yo, let him see his child? If that's, you know, because we know if you a BS dude, because we there every day. If this dude is trying to see the child, you know, as a man, I'm gonna say, yo, you know what? You need to let young man go hang with his father, you know,
mhm,
because at the end of the day, he'll respect me more for it, to be totally honest with you. You know, he'll love you more, mom, because now you know what, you let that animosity go, you know. So yeah, I believe in encouraging the relationship with the biological father.
mhm,
And then this is number 2, is one of the things I said that you should talk about. You gotta understand, you know, can I discipline this child? So number 2 says discuss discipline and exercise it with extreme caution. You know, we're finding too often where women have let men come in and discipline their child and they kill the child. You know, I think, you know, not too long ago, you know, you shake a child, you know, be quiet, be quiet.
mhm,
You know, children would test your patience probably more than anybody, because you know they don't have an understanding of what sit down right now is, especially if they've never been told that. You know,
mhm.
so you got to demonstrate a level of patience with children as your own, but you really have to do it when they're not yours.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know, so you got to be really cautious with how you discipline them.
Yeah, that goes into temperament, understanding your partner's temperament.
And
Yeah.
then number 3 is schedule regular times away from the kids as a couple. You
Mhm.
know, so you know, I know some some women get really clingy with their children, especially the young man becomes the new dad of the house, or you know, it's like I've seen some relationships that look kind of just crazy to me. It's like, wow, we're cool. I hang out with my kids, this and that and the other. Like, really? You hang out with them that much?
Right.
It's like sometimes you gotta come and be an adult. Come on over here and be an adult. You know, let the
Mhm.
kid let the kids eat this hot and ready, and while we go out and kick it. You see what I'm saying? So number 4 is practice acceptance. It says it's good to realize from the beginning that this new family will take some getting used to. It will take time for them as well. There will be times when you feel like an outsider. That's why it's so important for you to take the initiative and show the children unconditional acceptance. Be flexible when it comes to mannerisms and personal habits, and be a healthy model of someone who cheerfully adapts to your new family members as they are, faults and all. Your openness and willingness to deal with their idiosyncrasies and unique family atmosphere will be contagious and will encourage them to accept you more easily. And you know, and I think also with that practice acceptance, you also have to let it be known that there are some things I will not accept. You know, on the flip side of that, look, young man, young woman, hey, I know I'm not your dad, but guess what? I will not accept you accepting mediocrity.
That's good.
I'm, you know, I'm here. I'm gonna love on you. Hopefully, I'm gonna love on you, but sometimes I'm my hug may be wanting to choke you because you're doing the wrong thing. But realize all this is coming from love, because I want you to be the best you that you can be.
Mm,
So
that's
that's
good.
one thing. Yeah, that's what that's what we should, instill in our children, stepchildren, whatever. Let them know that, hey, I'm on your team. I'm here to
Hmm.
help you. Yo. And the last one is, don't force her children to call you dad.
Hmm.
You know, and for me, that's a no brainer. But I see how some men may want to come in and just claim control right off the rip.
Hmm.
This is my family. I moved them in. It's not like how lions do it. A new male come in, he'll kill all the kids, discard them and have sex with all the rest of the lions and lionesses and put his children in now. We can't be
Really?
that. Oh yeah, we can't be that primitive thinking.
Wow. Yeah. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But no, that's good. Don't force the children to call you dad. Like I said before, in my situation, it was just automatic. It just
Okay.
became automatic. It just felt right. So so yeah, those were great, and those were called. What were those called? The
5 ways to be a great stepdad.
five ways to be a great stepdad. Wow, Sherrod, our time together goes so quickly. Malanta, this was awesome. This was
Wow.
really awesome. I think that providing great information, because these are real life circumstances and situations that we go through, and I think we thank you for being such an asset to us. And if
No
ladies, if
problem.
we really 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 listen up, these are some nuggets that we don't even think about, or don't even know that those are some things that we need to consider before we decide or determine that we're ready to blend a family. It's a lot
Right.
of work. It's a lot of work, but there's a lot of benefits to it as well.
Oh
A
yeah.
lot of benefits to it as well. Sherrod, is there anything that you want to leave us with today?
Yeah, I mean, primarily what I want to say, when I speak not for all men, obviously. I speak from a lot of the experiences that I've had and gone through, and the things that I've witnessed firsthand, or I've spoken with someone about. So my word is not gospel as they call it, but I try to be as sincere as I possibly can and just be as open as I can with folks, so if especially if it's going to help them. So you may not, as I tell my son, you may not need the things that I'm saying to you now, but just take them and put them in your tool case, because you may need it later, and it may help you out of a situation. And my dad, I grew up with him, and I took and everything I learned from him early. When I became older and a knucklehead, you know, it's like, man, that got me right back on track, because I know, I wasn't taught to do this. So those are the things. If I could tell a woman one thing about letting a man come into the household, let this man come. If you trust him enough, you know, and if you trust him enough to lay down with him, bring him in front of your children, and to make him a permanent part of your household, trust him enough that he'll be the kind of man that will take your children on as his and give them the best advice, the best love that he can give them, to make them become the best children, soon to be adults, that they can be.
Wow. Wow, thank you. Thank you. Ladies, I hope you appreciate that, because I definitely do. And make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. And I'm putting the emphasis on share. Share the information. Sometimes our family members, our friends, close associates may not be able to hear what you're saying because you're so close. But maybe something I say, something that Sherrod shares, will be able to help them in a situation that they may not even have shared with you. So again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, you all stay fearless, and we will be back soon. Thank you again, Sherrod, for being here, and you all have
Thank
an amazing, amazing week. Bye for now.